What's up, guys? This is Travis. It's time for some more Badass Dad stories. I made a couple of previous videos. Really didn't think anybody would see them. Again, for the most part, these are really just something for me to have as my own documentation to just kind of have these stories out there. God forbid, something ever happened to me. My kids always like hearing these whenever I get around the family for the holidays. It's always one of those things where, especially now as I'm getting older and my dad has passed away, hey, tell us about that time, which I've got plenty of. And it's kind of fun being the link to that past and connecting people that either were too young to really be part of these stories or people who were part of them. And I've just kind of lost touch with over the years, which brings me to this story. One of my absolute best friends in the world. We've been close forever. Closest thing I've ever had to a brother. And one of the first best friends I ever had, Richard Campbell. We got reconnected here on Facebook probably about a year or so ago. But there was a time when we were connected at the hip. Just absolute best friends. I have two older sisters. Never had a brother. Richard was it. Richard didn't have a brother. He had two sisters. Well, three, I guess. And I was it for him. And whenever you have those type of friendships when you're young, that last kind of a lifetime, there's things that connect you more than just your taste in music or the girls you like or the sports you play. It's the way you were raised, not just what kind of cars and vehicles you like, but where you like to go, what you talk about, what hurts you, things you believe in, things you aspire to be. That's what connected Richard and I. And also too, when it comes to the vehicles, again, polar opposites of the spectrum. In high school when we were young, I was into my SUVs, bike racks, and big trucks. Richard was into anything that was fucking fast and was a panty dropper, which of course he had, and which gave him his nickname. Had the first red Mustang GT in the town of Lafayette back when they had a body style change. I don't know the generations or body styles and even really the year model, but I remember I was 16, he was 2, it was new. And it was red, and the day he went through town with a wild strawberry air freshener, that was it. The rest was history. Wild strawberry, there it was. And I may have some of the details wrong about how that nickname was born, and we loved giving people shit about how they didn't know or how it came to be that Richard was called Wild Strawberry, but he lived up to the wild, and what girl doesn't like strawberries? So there you go. But Richard approached me after we got to talking about some of these last couple stories. He'll end up in a lot of them, believe it or not, because of just that time of my life. Unfortunately, didn't ever really get to go with me out to Colorado because he was too busy stacking cheese. He had jobs where he was making folding cash, and he'd come home from out of town. We were all working for our dads or broke. That's the thing you discover when you work for your dad. Half of it's for free or it's for $5 an hour, working alongside grown men who are making $60 an hour. And the only difference between you and them is you stay after 5 and keep working where they get to clock out. So anybody that thinks it's glamorous, whose parents have ever owned a business and you're the owner's son, can kiss my ass if they think that you had it made or that it was something easy. In fact, it was usually twice as hard. But Richard worked out of town, and he'd come in on a weekend, on a Friday, hook up with us and have a pocket full of cash. And I mean like big boy cash, the kind of cash where he would take us out because hell, we all lived at home still or in the woods camping. And whenever we got to the point where we were old enough to go out and party in town, 21 and drinking, it was nothing for us to bring up a $400 tab out for a night on the town. And Richard had a new truck, and the rest of it he just blew on his boys, which of course was myself, a couple other guys, Ben Gaither and Scott Shaw. So but Richard and I had a type of inner circle that even Ben and I did not, and I haven't had since. Just really close. We shared a lot with each other, went through a lot of emotional things. just with that during that time in our life. But and you've heard the expression, work hard and play hard. We played hard. I mean, hard luck to the point property was damaged and people got hurt hard. So people say that shit now, and we laugh. We laugh at what people put on Facebook. You know, people will get out and do things and make posts, and we all just think to ourselves, holy shit, if there was a camera around back in those days, first and foremost, it would not have been on Facebook. You can bet that. And number two, God, would have been the single most incriminating thing in the world that we would have not wanted around and made sure was destroyed the next morning. And now people post it while they're in the act, you know, but it's a different world. This is the story of, God, I was going to start with this one story I've got. They're like flooding through my head. There's 20 of Richard and me. God, I'm trying to think of which one I want to tell now. This is my favorite. So we're going to call this Badass Friend Stories. This is the night that we went out on a double date with the girl who is now my wife. We've been married over 20 years. We've been together going on 25 years. Beautiful girl, the most beautiful girl in the world, smoking hot, and was completely mesmerized with her from the moment I ever saw her. For me, it was love at first sight. She made me put in the work. It was one of those things because she was a lifer. You know, anybody that went after this girl, and trust me, they all did. She would drop them like flies because they were not willing to put in the romance and the work and care and effort that it took. Because for the amount of effort it took just to get this girl on a date, you could have went and found some gutter skank to hook up with and, you know, have a good time. It meant devoting months, almost years out of your life to get this girl to know I was serious, and and of course, once you do that and fall in love, you're in it for life too. Kind of clever how she did that. But so Richard, of course, who looking for love in all the wrong places, but it was not love. It was a good time. Richard found it well. He had the lines, man, the pickup lines. Richard, I know you're watching this. You'll remember. There's nothing like when you're out with a group of girls, everybody is partying, and you try to find that one line to break away from the group and the crowd. And Richard found it and nailed it, and it's been gold. Works to this day. Would ask her, you want to get some fresh air? Because you can bet if you're in a crowded place where everybody is smoking and drinking, chances are most likely yes she does. And number two, you are now escorting her, and there they would go into the darkness. Richard and whoever was going to get some fresh air were gone, and gone for the rest of the night. So plenty of fresh air was had, and it never failed for Wild Strawberry. So because then again, he was the air freshener. So what a time. But as we got older and had pretty much dated or talked to every girl in our small town, needed to start branching out. I hate to say it, but that's the truth. There's just no other way to put it. And those of you that live in small towns know what that's about. I was going to a small college not far from my home to get basically my associates before I transferred to a larger school, which now that school is a 4-year school, but none of that matters. Was one of those things where I was excited just to meet people who were not from my hometown. Hence the meeting of my girlfriend then, and who is my wife now, Kim. She was from Dalton, a town about 30-45 minutes away from us in Lafayette, Georgia. So either way, as I start to bring Kim reluctantly, like serious reluctance, into our inner circle, I make sure that it's never anything more than just like dinner, because I remember having the conversations where I used to have to prep Richard and Ben that I was actually going to bring a girl into our group to either go have dinner that night or to hang out. And I really liked her. She's a little, mommy and daddy's girl, nice Christian girl, can't stay out late, has to be at church the next morning. You guys, just tonight, come on, let's keep it semi-gentlemanly. Let's not be total rednecks and heathens. it went to shit every time. Richard didn't give a fuck. True to himself, and he would do anything for me, but after a few beers, it was you were getting the unadulterated, purest version of Richard, which was out for a good time, and did me a favor in more ways than one, because while I'm wanting Richard to not be himself, so I can so it can help me impress some chick who, of course, I was not being myself around. Turns out that I would only find out after Richard, would tell his jokes and be funny and get me to cut loose, that I would realize, oh, this chick is so uptight and no fun, not someone I want to end up being with for any long period of time or wasting my life on. So thank him for that. And one quick funny story about that is this little girl from Gordon Lee, a private school, met this chick at the mall. Of course, a lot of you probably don't know anything about that. There was no asking her for her Snapchat or her Facebook or whatever the hell there is today. It wasn't texting them. You had to walk up to her and have some sort of game. You had to shake her hand. Hell, her parents may have been with her. You had to be ready to meet them that minute, because they may have rode with their parents there to the mall. You had to be able to ask her name. You had to be able to tell her yours, and you had to get her phone number and have some sort of conversation and assert some level of confidence in person right then and there. There was no meeting or jumping in their inbox or DM or whatever all that shit is today that you could get yourself a head start. So short story, even shorter. Met this girl, wanted to kind of impress her. That Saturday, Richard was going to be in from town, so I wasn't going to miss a night that he was home for the weekend and we could all party. I thought I would be clever enough to try to combine the two. So we had all planned to go out to eat. And I remember, just like before, I would get Richard and my buddy Ben and say, hey, listen, I like this girl. Let's keep the dick jokes and tick comments down to a minimum, because she had huge boobs. For our age, she did. They weren't small. I can say that now, and I don't think my wife or anyone would get mad, because this girl is a total frigid bitch. Best thing in my life I ever did was turn my back to this chick and walk away. I would have cut my throat if I ended up in a relationship with this chick. But the first night we went out on a date, we were at O'Charlie's. Everyone's dressed up. We're wearing button-up shirts. We're minding our manners. She's there, and it looks like I'm with a couple of little mama's boys, and we're minding our manners and being respectful. But Richard started drinking about 2. Well, it's about 8 o'clock, and by the time we get to the table and order, Richard did not realize that when he leaned over to me and commented about how huge her tits were, that she, to my right, could hear as if he was basically saying it right to her face. So immediately I'm apologizing for Richard and this and that, and the night went on, and that was the kind of the thing. But these were my friends, and that's who I always like to hang out with, and that's how we talked about girls. It was a compliment. She should have taken it, been happy, said thank you, and moved on. But of course she didn't. She bitched about it, tried to discount that Richard is my friend, and shouldn't be making comments like that. Maybe not, but he was just louder than he thought he was. So that happened, and after a little bit of time had progressed, and of course I got away from her and was really into Kim, I remember I didn't have to have the conversation so much anymore about, hey, I like this girl, she's going to be with us tonight. Listen, she doesn't know I drink. She doesn't know that last night we were out, till 2 in the morning, getting round bales and rolling them out into the middle of the road, and, crashing into them with our 4-wheeler. Let's just try to be cool and, have dinner for the night and not end up in jail, in a fight, or totally drunk. As time progressed, I didn't really need to ask that as much, because Richard was able to see that Kim was such a cool, upstanding chick that he decided and could see, wow, that is the kind of girl I'm probably going to end up with, seriously, to have as a wife one day, have a family and be with forever. we're 21 years old, 20 around that time. If there's ever a time in Richard's life that he thinks that he might be able to meet a girl like this, Kim is the one that's going to introduce him to her. And so that being said, Kim and I are still just at the point where we're just beginning to date, and I'm getting geared up to ask her out for a weekend. Richard is coming into town, and we have the bright idea that we want to get one of Kim's friends to fix up with Richard, so we can go on a double date. 4 of us hang out together, and Richard knows that, now listen, this isn't going to be just some other gutter skank chick from a hick town. This is going to be, a nice Christian girl, semi-cultured. She's going to have her crap together, and not only that, but a pretty girl with no shortage of guys on the ready, blowing her phone up, ready to come pick her up from this date if it goes sideways, or in line just to ask her out. And Richard knows that. So, like I said, the kind of gal that if you are going to bring one home to your mom, this is her. So, not really looking for an opportunity to screw this up. We're actually wanting to put in a little bit of work and see how it goes. And so we're getting ready. I've been out with Kim a few times, but still, she's one of these safety in numbers, and her and I had only been together on a couple of day dates, the 2 of us. So as far as anything at night and going out on a Saturday, this was still kind of where we were at in our relationship. She didn't know that all the nights before and prior weekends, if I wasn't with her, we were out getting into fights and drinking. So that Saturday, we've got everything arranged. I'm over at Richard's house. We're getting ready. And to help us, dress for the occasion and look right, we had our button-up shirts, and Richard's a big boy. He was over 6 foot tall back then, in our early 20s, arms this long. And no one you wanted to get into throwing hands with, because by God, he would connect, and faster and quicker than you. So, and that was a thing. Richard had a stand-up fight that no one else could bring or hang with toe to toe. So whenever the shit always hit the fan, I could hold my own, but Richard was over there cleaning house. And so that was usually the case, is if we ever broke out into a fight, I would have 1 or 2 I could handle, but Richard didn't give a shit. He would take them all on and then finish mine off, because hell, with arms that long and that tall, and when you're that pissed off to boot, no one else can get to you. And Richard stayed pissed off longer too. So that was definitely something most of those other guys wouldn't count on. I can't tell you how many fights we were in that were over for everybody involved except Richard. When Richard was done with you, he moved on to your car and started beating the shit out of it. So this one particular afternoon, as we're getting ready, I told Richard, I said, okay, ma'am. I showed up all ready to go, shirt pressed, heavy starch, ironed, looking sharp. Richard wanted me and asked if I would iron his shirt. Said, yep, you know it, brother. I said, break that bad boy out, let me see it. Of course, this damn thing's 3 feet tall and 2 feet wide, and arms the length of my leg on it. So I started ironing this shirt, and it took 30 minutes, probably 45 minutes to iron this shirt, because when I was growing up, I remember I made the brutal mistake one night before picture day of asking my mom if she would iron my shirt for me, which my dad overheard, and that was it. That was the last time I asked anyone in my life to do anything in regards to washing my clothes or washing a shirt, ironing it, you name it. My dad went and got every shirt he had out of his closet, and I stayed up till he ironed one perfect. Collar, left shoulder, right shoulder, left sleeve, right sleeve, cuff, the back, all of the back, then both sides of the front. And I did that till about 2 in the morning with every shirt he owned in his closet. So I know how to iron a shirt, and it looks perfect. I could critique a sheriff or a police officer on the starch and press of their shirt, but so I get Richard's ironed up and it's all perfect. Well, either way, my phone's about to die, so I don't want this. This has went well enough up until now. I don't want this story